Hello everyone, and it's a real pleasure today to introduce you to our distance learning certificate in clinical embryology, an introduction to module 6, which is on clinical aspects of assisted reproductive technology. So I am Joyce Harper and I'm Professor at the Institute for Women's Health at University College London, and I've been working as in the field of IVF and embryology since 1987. I was originally an embryologist back then after finishing my PhD, and in 1992 I started working on pre-implantation genetic testing, and more recently I'm working on educating the public about various aspects of fertility and infertility. And I've been running workshops since 1996 on various aspects of lab techniques, mainly embryo biopsy. And in 1996, I also started my first master's course. So I have been involved in education of people involved in the assisted reproductive technology field for a couple of decades, and it was a real pleasure back in the very early years of the workshops to join with Alpesh Doshi. Alpesh has been a long-term friend of mine. He's one of the best embryologists in the world, in my opinion, and he's recently set up his own clinic, IVF London. And Alpesh and I, many years ago, set up the Embryology and PhD Academy to help educate embryologists, nurses, scientists, and clinicians about various aspects of embryology. So we have been running this distance learning program, which I'm going to tell you about now, and then this video specifically telling you more details about this module 6, the clinical aspects of ART. So just overall about our certificate, it is called a certificate in clinical embryology, but it's incredibly flexible. So it's all by distance learning, and there are 8 modules delivered by global leaders. But even if you're not an embryologist, if you're just an interested scientist or a nurse or a clinician or even a patient who's going through IVF and you wanted to just dip in and just take one of the modules, you're more than welcome to do that. So they are very individual modules, and you can take them with or without the exam. So there is an exam at the end of each module, but you don't need to take that. So to have the certificate or full certificate, you do need to do the exam. So the basic certificate is the 8 modules, the exams for each module, and an exit exam, which is totally online, showing how that you can do various aspects of the technology that we're looking at. And the full certificate is 8 modules, exams, the logbook, which is for modules 1 to 4, where you will log the number of procedures you've done that we ask for, and also the exit exam. And the modules are accredited by the Royal College of Pathologists. So here's the modules. Alpesh and I spent many times deciding how exactly we were going to offer this, but I really feel very passionately that it's important for embryologists to understand not just what happens in the lab and not just the practical aspects. They need to understand the theoretical aspects, but there are even a wider issues I think that they need to understand. So hopefully you'll see how we've made this program. So number 1 is the largest module by a long way. It's for the clinical embryologists really to understand what goes on in the lab. So the lab from gamete to embryo. Then again, essential for all embryologists is the cryo module. So we will go through oocyte, sperm, and embryo cryopreservation. And these talks are given, as I've said, by the world leaders in this. A module close to my heart is about genetics, pre-implantation genetics and prenatal diagnosis. Again, this is quite a big module. There was lots to cover, but really I'm sure everyone will learn key information about genetics by taking this module. Lab design, quality assessment and troubleshooting, again, very, very essential module for any embryologist. So that's very, very lab orientated. And then we go on to the more general modules, but I think they're really important. Module 5 is on new technology and ethics of reproductive medicine. I think it's really important for us to think about egg and sperm donation, surrogacy, and also the ethical implications of some of the technology that we're using. And I ask a very provocative question. How will the future of humanity be with regards to reproduction? And we're bringing in making gametes from stem cells, genome editing, etc. And then this module that I'm talking about today is module 6, the clinical aspects of ART. And then we'll go on to module 7, which is some real basic science, gametogenesis and pre-implantation development, and then finishing off with quite a clinical module on reproductive health. So 2 of the modules are very lab-based, module 1 and module 4, closely followed by module 2, the cryo module. It is quite heavy science, but I think anyone could take module 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7. They're much lighter modules without sort of hardcore labs talks being involved. So how the modules work is that for each lecture, you will see a photo and bio of the speaker, a written summary of the talk, a video of the talk with PowerPoint, it's just like this. And then there's some multiple choice questions for your revision and some feedback. So for each talk, you would listen to the talks in, for each module, sorry, you would listen to the talks in order. And when the module is complete, if you want to do the exam, you can take the online multiple choice exam. And if you pass, you get a certificate immediately. And we do regular catch-ups and webinars and things on Zoom. So to apply for the certificate or any individual module, visit embryologycertificate.com. You can see they're applying for the full certificate or individual modules. You can start off doing individual modules, and if you want to convert, it's absolutely no process. You just keep taking the individual modules till you've got all of them, or you can apply for the full certificate at the beginning, and you can pay either by module, or you can pay for the whole certificate in one go. So you just complete the relevant application form online. As soon as you've done that, you can have access via PayPal to the modules. If you pay by banker's draft, there'll be a few days delay until we get the payment through. And the modules are open all the time throughout the year. There's no deadlines. You do this in your own pace at your own time. And any inquiries to ivf.pgd.academy@gmail.com. So let's talk about module 6, the clinical aspects of assisted reproductive technology. The aims and learning objectives of this module are to educate students on the clinical aspects of assisted reproductive technology. We're going to start with male infertility and clinical andrology. Clinical andrology does happen in our embryology lab, but we're going to go into things a little bit more detail here, looking at some of the key aspects of andrology. Then we're going to talk about female infertility and fertility treatments besides IVF and including IVF. And then 2 talks about the drug regimes. 1, giving the basic principles of the drug regimes in ART, and then how we actually monitor an IVF cycle. And we're finally going to finish with the very difficult situation of the failed cycle. So here's our faculty for module 6. I'm really pleased that so many of my dear friends have given their time to give a talk in this module for you. We're going to start with a very short introduction of the module given by myself. And then Amar Rahim is a very good friend of mine. He's been lecturing on my master's courses for many, many years. And we have co-supervised a number of MSc projects together. And he is going to talk about causes of male infertility. And Pippa Sangsa also lectures on my MSc course, and she works with us at UCL and University College Hospital, and she is an andrologist and going to tell us about clinical andrology. Anis Feki is a long-term friend of mine. We have done much work together within ESHRA, and he's a very well experienced gynecologist working in the fertility field, and he is going to talk about the causes of female infertility and investigations. Another dear friend, Timur Gergen, again, we've worked together for many years, starting with ESHRA. He's from Turkey, very global, respected person in IVF, and he's going to talk about the clinical aspects of infertility treatments. And from Denmark, we have another good friend, Sven Lindenberg. who runs a IVF clinic in Denmark, and he is going to tell us about the theories of drug regimes in ART, and Michel Debos, who works in Brussels, and he is going to talk to us about monitoring an IVF cycle. And finally, my partner in crime at many conferences, we're often on the same session talking about various controversial aspects of assisted reproduction. Yaqub Khalif, again, runs an IVF unit. As you see, almost everyone here is a medical director of an IVF unit in various countries. And Yaqub talks about many different topics, but I've asked him here to talk about the failed cycle. We appreciate it's very difficult for any IVF clinic when they have patients who have repeated IVF failure and the advice that we can give them. So Yaqub is going to tell us about the science and the data that we have on studies to help us identify what we can do for the failed cycle. And Yaqub and I work together with the Human Fertilization and Embryology Authority. Yaqub is chair of our Science and Clinical Advisory Committee, of which I am a member. And it's always great to work with Yaqub, also with the British Fertility Society and many other projects that we do. So as you can see, amazing global faculty, really experts in our field, giving these amazing presentations. I'd just like to finish by thanking again our global partners listed here, various people who have helped us along the way set up this certificate. And our webinar series that we ran during the lockdown are available on our YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel is Embryology and PGD Academy, so please join us and subscribe so you'll be alerted to when we upload any new videos. And we have 2 Facebook pages. There's one for the Embryology and PGD Academy, and I also have a Joyce Harper Work Facebook that you're welcome to follow me on. I do have a private Facebook, but I rarely post work things there. So I encourage everyone to join me on my work, Joyce Harper Work Facebook group. And on social media, please follow myself and Alpesh. My handle on social media is @ProfJoyceHarper. Alpesh on Twitter is @AlpeshDoshiIVF, and on Instagram is adoshi2. So you'll find further information about the certificate at the embryologycertificate.com website. And we are hoping at some point, depending on COVID-19, to open up again our embryo biopsy workshops, and details of this will be at embryologyandpgdacademy.com. So thank you so much for listening to me today. And if you've got any inquiries, then please email ivf.pgd.academy@gmail.com. And I really hope that if you take some of our modules or the full certificate, you really enjoy learning in this way. Thank you very much.